Thank you.
Good timing.
Good timing. There's a chair here with your name on it. There we go.
in September 2013 changed my life, instantly and irreversibly. It was the 60 seconds when, aged 17 and surrounded by half-unpacked boxes, I watched my parents wave goodbye at the gate of my university halls. As they turned and began to walk back along the busy London streets, I felt each and every step that they took with a physical pain, each footfall ripping my heart out in a way I had previously not known was possible. It was Freshers' Week. I was a first-year music student. And suddenly, with appalling force, I realized that what I was feeling was my first real experience of grief. Child growing up in a sleepy Scottish village, I grew up surrounded by space. Space to think, space to grow, space to become whatever I wanted or needed to become. It was an existence in many ways from a different era. My days were filled with trips to the local post office to buy hard-boiled sweets kept in screw-top tins next to the jiffy bags, rambles through beaches and along woods, jumping across decaying tag tracks long sunk into the golden sand, or sneaking up into the loft of the local church whilst my mother ran the parish choir rehearsals, spending hours lying on the floor, staring up at the rafters, or surreptitiously pulling on the ropes operating the church bells and imagining my inevitable future career of professional bell ringer. Obsessed with Enid Blyton's books, I could easily imagine smugglers hiding in secret coves, lighthouses flashing coded messages in the middle of the night, and mysterious villains camped out in a secret house on a far-off hill. that story from 9-year-old me. Scotland is a country riddled with leaving. Sometimes it seems to me that leaving is so embedded in who we are as a nation that it has become as Scottish as heavy drinking, iron brew, burns night, or emotional repression. Our culture is full of it. We have songs about leaving, stories about leaving, poems about leaving, the pains and hopes and dreams of my people, some spoken in a language that I can half understand, or in a language that I can't understand at all. It's easy to be Scottish when you're not in Scotland. Say I a couple of times. Make it clear you have liberal political views, are largely impervious to cold, have a feisty side, shout freedom like Mel Gibson, and you're good to go. Being Scottish in Scotland is entirely different. Too much of a lowlander to speak Gaelic and too middle class have a proper Fife accent. My voice is a bizarre mashup of Edinburgh and Tayport and Dundee and childhood drama lessons that overemphasise the importance of clear diction. When I was wee, my grandparents tried to teach me Scots. Hold yourself still, stop jumping it in like a puddock, the grandma would say, as she rammed my jumper over my head with brutal love. I ignored the words, embarrassed by them, with a hot shame I had somehow picked up from somewhere, even at the age of 6. I can't say it, I'd complain. It's too hard. Don't understand. Speak English. incomprehensible amount of people for a village girl, used to knowing everyone she met on the street. Grief was also a previously unfelt feeling that I grappled with in locked toilet cubicles, in stairwells and underground platforms. My homesickness, not a passing pang, but a never-ending wave upon wave, each tsunami tide crashing down with just enough warning for me to gasp in a breath before the next deluge hit. It'll pass, people said. Oh, you'll get used to your new home soon enough. They didn't seem to understand what it was that I was mourning. Didn't seem to understand that building a new home is not just as easy as putting up a few posters and buying a plate and cutlery set from Argos. You see, home is not just a house. Home is not even just the people that surround you. Home is the streets that you walk, the skies above you, the air that you breathe, all the things so every day that you don't notice them until they're no longer there to not notice. Seven long years have passed since I first left home. First turned my back on the church clock tolling out midnight into the black silent sky. First turned my back on the blackbirds pecking at the lopsided bird feeder in the garden. First turned my back on the sound of waves sucking on rough stones. 7 years since I first left, the flickering feeling of running your fingers through fledgling wheat as it grows in mud-mired fields. 7 years, but I still feel the loss of it every day. Home can never be returned to in quite the same way in which it was left. And every time I visit my childhood village, I feel like I belong a little less, a stranger looking in at the window of the life that I once visited into so naturally. This feeling of limbo, of losing your belongingness in your original home but being unable to truly belong anywhere else, is a feeling that I've found many other people from small Scottish towns struggle with. If we moved back, would we grow roots into the land once more? Or have we lost our roots altogether? We're a patriotic country, Scotland, proud of our bad weather, proud of our reputation of being hard drinkers and fearless brawlers, proud to be the underdog that always proud to be the underdog that always finds a way to drag itself up for the next fight. We are proud of the echoes of pain that can still be felt at our country's core, our half-healed scars. Proud because of what those scars signify. That we are a country that doesn't bow down to anyone. A proud nation. A brave nation. How easy, then, to quietly sweep under the rug the uglier parts of Scotland's history. The bits and pieces that don't quite add up to our contemporary reputation of being trendy, modern, full of free speech and left-leaning politics. We are quick to point out our victim status in discussions about the terrible things that the British Empire has done to so many. We Scots were always the persecuted, we cry. We were the ones experiencing the hardship, not the ones doling it out. To be fair, Scotland does have a proud history of being pro-abolishment of slavery. We banned the use of personal slaves in the country in 1778, several years before the rest of Britain caught on to the idea, and founded the crucial anti-slavery society in Glasgow in 1822. So much, so yay, go us! It's far well less known, however, how much of Scotland was founded and financed an ugly stain of slave trade. We may have banned the use of personal slaves in our own country in 1778, but it was considered perfectly acceptable to own humans who happened to live abroad. By 1817, 32% of the people suffering, working and dying on Jamaican slave estates were owned by Scots. Churches, mansions, schools, buildings all over Scotland are built with slave money. The entire merchant city of Glasgow is largely financed from the money that they earned from the people that they shipped from Glasgow's docks. And not content with dominating the slave trade, Scots were also travelling to new and uncharted territory to do what had been done unto us.
Governor of the British colony in Australia, April 1816. On any occasion of seeing the natives, either in bodies or singly, they are to be called on to surrender themselves to you as prisoners of war. If they refuse to do so, make the least show of resistance or attempt to run away from you, you will fire upon and compel them to surrender, breaking and destroying the spears and clubs of all those you take prisoners. Such natives as happen to be killed on such occasions, if grown-up men, are to be hanged up on trees in conspicuous situations to strike the survivors with the greater terror. BBC Scotland website 2018. Macquarie was a fair-minded reformer who did much to improve the lives and conditions of the former convicts. Many of the Gaels who were uprooted from the Highlands during the horrors of the Highland clearances then travelled to Canada, Australia and North America. Seemingly oblivious to the irony, they then drove the indigenous people living there off the land their families had lived on for generations, murdering those that refused to move, and claimed the bloodied ground as Scotland's own. Hark when the night is falling, hear the pipes are calling, loudly and proudly calling down through the glen. There where the hills are sleeping now, feel the blood a-leaping high as the spirits of the old Highland men. Towering and gallant fame, Scotland my mountain hang, high may our proud standards gloriously wave. Land of the shining river, land of my high endeavour, land of my heart forever, Scotland the brave. Scotland's history is marred with hardship. Cruelty has been done unto us, and we have done cruelty unto others. It's easy to look only to the past, but if we want Scotland to move forward as a nation, we need to acknowledge and accept what has come before, and then look at what might be ahead of us. What might be in the nation's future. From the Celtic
tribes who travelled across Europe and settled in Scotland so many centuries ago, to the Italian, Irish, Indian, Pakistani, Jewish communities who travelled to the country in the 18th and 19th centuries, Scotland's shores have welcomed those who were trying to make a better life. Here in the 21st century, we have a terrible, modern refugee crisis. In 2018, 68.5 million people were displaced globally, forced to flee their homelands in horrendous circumstances, and yet Scotland's government only agreed to take in 2,000 Syrian refugees, many of whom are now struggling in the flawed and problematic system of emergency housing and asylum applications. And yet, Scotland, at its core, is a country that believes in equality for all, not just the favoured. And the people of Scotland have supported and continue to support those struggling under the weight of bureaucratic injustice. The 2018 One Scotland campaign called for a truly inclusive society, one that believed in equality for all. Is such a society possible? In Scotland, I believe it is not naive to say yes. Scotland is a country riddled with leaving. People who chose to leave. People who were made to leave. In the centuries that have passed since the Highland clearances, thousands upon thousands of people have emigrated from Scotland's shores, holding on to and sharing our cultures, values and beliefs as we went. The population of Scotland in 2020 might be under 5.5 million. But the amount of people worldwide who identify as having Scottish heritage is close to 10 million. The roots of the country have slowly wound their way across the globe, a tiny nation scattered to the four corners of the world. It was only when I left Scotland that I realised what little idea I had about what it meant to be Scottish. And that journey of discovering my own sense of cultural identity has deepened my understanding of the place in which I grew up in a way I would never have gained if I'd continued to live in it. Home, my home, is a complex meld of idealised fantasies and complicated truths. It is my place of safety in a world of uncertainty. It's the smell of old books and burnt sausages and dappled sunlight and creaking floorboards and musty wood and worn carpet. It's the sound of my father's laugh and the kettle on the boil and hymns being practiced late on Saturday nights, and the way that someone asks, "How was your day?" when they are genuinely interested in the answer. If you stand in the heart of my house, half close your eyes and breathe the air deep. Sometimes I think you can sense several timelines running at once, the ghosts of who we used to be or might yet become flickering in the shadows, the previous days echoing into the present until there is no past or present or future, but just a house and people and love. Only time will tell if I will make my home for good in a neon-slicked city, or a country girl that I am, I will head back to the sea and sky. But for now, I will keep a slither of sand in my bones, a slice of wind-whipped fields in my heart, and a fragment of birdsong in my ears. I can feel my roots growing firm and steady underneath my feet, and they will hold me fast, wherever I may go. Traveling bones, I am built from traveling bones. No place to ever call home, flickering heart. But it might tear itself apart.
you come back now to
Yeah.
where you started?
Did it change quite a
How's
bit?
that feel?
Yeah.
So that it feels nice to be here. It's quite funny having like done it in the Swish Fringe theatre. That it's a purpose-built theatre. I went in for like my sound check and they were like, so what colour lights do you want? What kind of blackout do you want? What kind of... And I'm just like making up as I go along, like, oh yes, the primrose brown. Purpley edges, please. So having to like learn all that. Like I do have a bit of a theatre background, but I haven't directed before. So if you're just doing something with someone being like, stand there, say this, you don't necessarily have to know all the terminology.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a quick learning curve with that. But having done all that and done it in a theatre, to coming back and doing it like this is quite interesting.
Yeah.
Different feeling. I like it though, it's quite a versatile show. You can do it quite a lot of different places. So.
And what was the reaction in Edinburgh?
Crying.
Really?
A lot of crying. It's quite funny to see what bits
Some
like
people
this.
who knew